Greetings, everybody. Get a little bit spicy, baby. What's going on, my beautiful geek culture? As always, I'm your boy O, and today we got to talk about this article from InsideTheMagic.net titled James Gunn's DCU could be dead on arrival following Superman 2025 box office run. Now look, before I get started, I would like to address those out there who's instantly going to turn to mutant monkeys and start typing in my comment section about how wrong I am. Listen, we understand that you like James Gunn's DC direction. We get it. We totally understand that you love Superman 2025, and we respect how you feel about that. However, we need for you to do the same. Stop it with all the name calling, because all you're doing is making a fool of yourself. That's how I feel. You come into the comment section and you type all type of nonsense that doesn't even make sense and could be easily debunked, all because you're not willing to accept that you're wrong about something. I swear, you cannot make these people make sense. Now, I understand you're going to ask, well, if you're not willing to support James Gunn, why do you continue to cover DC news? It is because I can. What are you going to do to stop me? Not a goddamn thing. Don't get it twisted. Your boy O is cut from a different cloth. You see me living in this big ass house, but you do not understand where I come from. All right, I am about that life. Now let's get into this. All right, James Gunn's DC Universe is finally off the ground, and following the release of Superman 2025, things should look promising. The film is the first true test of Gunn and co-DC Studios CEO Peter Safran's shared universe relaunch, and though it hardly soared at the box office, it still grossed $615 million worldwide against an estimated $225 million budget. An estimated $225 million budget. We all know why that is questionable, right? We saw that tax record. We ain't stupid. But $615 million worldwide is $5 million less than where I said that the film was going to land. It also received mostly positive reviews from audiences and critics. Well, when it comes to the critics, they're not professionals anymore. I am sorry. They only judge a film if they enjoy it or not so much of what the film is bringing to the table. And most of the time, it's all about an agenda, something that they want to be successful. They're going to rate it positively, right? And as for the audience, it's an echo chamber. 25,000 people voted on James Gunn's Superman when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes. Compare that to Man of Steel, 250,000 people. You understand that? That's a huge difference. Sounds more like an echo chamber to me. With many praising David Corenswet's portrayal as the Man of Steel and Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Others, however, found it convoluted, bloated, and unfocused for a Superman solo outing. Some have also questioned whether the film is ambitious enough to kick off an entire cinematic universe. Well, I can answer that for you. Hell no. Hell no. The only thing this thing is ambitious enough to kick off is Superman and his damn nuts. That's how I feel. And him crying all of the time, worried about mutant monkeys online, when we all know that he's above that. All right, wrong choice, James Gunn. Wrong choice. Let's continue. The film's reception matters because Superman is intended to be a cornerstone of the DCU, its savior, if you will, following the disastrous DCEU, which started with Zack Snyder's fan favorite, Man of Steel, and ended with the wishy-washy Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Stop it right there, bro. Stop it right there. Why do you people continue to do this? Why do you have the need not to separate success from failure? Why is such a problem to acknowledge what was successful and what did not work? All right, let me correct you. Zack Snyder's vision ended right at Aquaman. However, it began to be pushed out of the door with the Studio League. You know, the film that you all would not acknowledge is not Zack Snyder's movie. You know what I'm saying here? The movie that was reshot for 80% of the footage, and they only used 10% of what Zack Snyder actually filmed? If that. If you go and look at those movies, right, some scenes are the same, and it makes you believe that Zack did indeed film that scene. However, if you look closely, a lot of it are reshoots. When I look at those two versions of Justice League, I get two totally different outcomes. Why is it so hard for these people to acknowledge that? First up, let me correct you. The DCEU did indeed begin with that of Man of Steel. All right, that is true. However, when it comes to the direction, it was derailed by Walter Hamada, a name that is pretty elusive these nowadays, right? No one wants to mention what Walter Hamada did to DC. And guess what? James Gunn helped him. That's right. That Suicide Squad film was part of the SniderVerse, right? All right. Birds of Prey, the SniderVerse. Shazam, the SniderVerse. We can give Shazam the SniderVerse. You feel me? The Flash, SniderVerse. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, SniderVerse. So why is it that these people continue to blame Zack Snyder for things that he had nothing to do with? I mean, come on. The man has been gone since 2017. He had no influence on what DC was doing after he left. However, as you can see, when his influence left, so did the fans. We went over that, did we? I told you guys that Superman had like 44% of the audience of Man of Steel and like 30% of the audience of Batman versus Superman. We went over that. However, these people refuse to acknowledge what is actually factual. It just amazes me how they can put forth this narrative all because they cannot admit that they were wrong. It's just baffling. The new DCU's canon makes no sense. However, the new DCU is already showing cracks. Firstly, the previous defunct DCU was at least launched with popular, well-known characters such as Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Yeah, the direction that many people say was wrong. I don't know how all of a sudden they are accepting this spaghetti universe, but before, when they actually had a true direction, there was a problem. These people are mentally insane. All right, who really cares about Swamp Thing and Clayface? And why was Superman stuck with so many characters? Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, and Kendra Sanders, Hug Girl. That's just one major concern. Another is a project that's already in full swing. Peacemaker Season 2, a continuation of Gunn's Breakout Max series, has officially been confirmed as part of the DCU canon. The problem? It pulls characters and storylines from the DCU, blurring the supposed clean slate fans were promised with this new continuity. There's also last year's HBO animated series Creature Commandos, which Gunn also insists is canon and as such marks the true beginning of the new DCU. The problem there? The series stars Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, reprising her role following appearances in DCU films such as Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Suicide Squad. If you think that's confusing, recently on Peacemaker, the official podcast, via Games Radar, when asked if Aquaman was still canon in the DCU, Gunn replied, quote, "We don't know. I don't think Aquaman is canon," unquote. Does this mean they're making up canon as they go along? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's a simple question. Is Aquaman canon or not? No. He's a Lobo. Aquaman is done. Why would you ask me that question? Well, at least Jason Momoa is done as Aquaman. And if we're going to give you another Aquaman, it would be by a new actor, a new director. Why is that question so hard to answer? How you don't know? You're the head of DC Studios. You're the one making up the continuity as you go along. You should know by now. This thing should be figured out. The map should be clear enough for us to follow. However, here it is. Things continue to get more confusing. The new DCU doesn't know its own audience. Now, this is a part of the article that I am eager to get into. On Reddit and X, fans are already pulling their hair out trying to understand what's canon and what isn't canon in the DCU. One points out that in Peacemaker Season 2, quote, if something is shown in previously on Peacemaker, then it's now canon, while others wonder whether the two Suicide Squad films are now also canon, and if, by extension, other DCU films like Zack Snyder's Justice League and The Flash are also canon. See, this is why I say that Gunn, he just chose the wrong direction entirely. Now, don't get me wrong, you know that I'm all for restoring the SniderVerse, but if you were going to just get rid of it, just go ahead on and pull the trigger on it. Why dangle these keys in front of the audience face, right? You got characters from the DCU and you got us over here saying, hey, that guy's still around. Why this guy's not around? Hey, wait one goddamn minute. Now that character is here. Why this character is not here? Then when you have these people out here trying to tell you, dude, it's so easy to follow. Just try to understand what James Gunn is saying. James Gunn ain't saying nothing. The man just told you he don't know if Aquaman is canon or not. He doesn't know. You cannot continue to operate like this. As I told you before, it is a la carte. What is the point of a shared universe if it's not a shared universe? That's how I feel when it comes down to James Gunn's DC direction. What we're getting is a film by film basis. Nothing is building up to anything exciting. But with Peacemaker Season 2, the problem doesn't lie entirely with canon. DC fans are also turned off by the show's graphic violence, crude humor, and adult content, which has left many questioning whether Gunn's irreverent style is the right fit for the new DCU. There's also the exhausted oddball lineup or ragtag team of misfits, formula Gunn's signature trademark seen in many of his previous projects like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad. As for the adult content, one must ask the question, who is this for? Superman 2025 gave us a much lighter version of the last son of Krypton than 2013's Man of Steel. I disagree with that. But that universal appeal has already been tarnished by the extremely violent and inappropriate Peacemaker Season 2. What demographic is this new DCU catering for? There's also no escaping the fact that Superman was expected to perform better at the box office. $615 million is no easy feat in today's climate. There they go with that, huh? However, he's about to debunk himself. But when Jurassic World Rebirth, which also hit theaters this summer, managed to pull in just shy of $900 million. That is what he just said. $615 million is hard to hit in this climate. But when Jurassic World Rebirth managed to earn $900 million worldwide, okay, one has to question whether Gunn's film was A, marketed to its full potential, B, had the same reliable universal appeal as Superman films of the past, or C, all of the above. Now let me tackle A for you all. Marketed to its full potential. The movie had 250 million views in its first 24 hours across all platforms. In fact, it was a record for Warner Brothers themselves. I believe it was top 5 trailer views of all time. To sit up here and say that the film was not marketed to its full potential, it's not being honest. It is dishonest, my man. No. Now, it was rejected, which I agree with B. It didn't have the same reliable universal appeal as older Superman films, okay? When you think about Superman 2025 selling less than half of the tickets of Man of Steel, that tells you a lot. You do not have to question if people was interested or not, okay? This is what I'm talking about. In 2025, the excuses continue. Instead of saying, hey, maybe fans was not into James Gunn's Superman, you have to question whether they was into James Gunn's Superman. When the box office result definitely tells you that they was not. If Man of Steel was released today, it would be a $900 million film, the same as Jurassic World Rebirth. But if Superman 2025 was released in 2013, it would earn $200 million worldwide. I'm pretty sure a blind man can see that people just was not into Superman this year. They may have shown up for Jurassic World or Minecraft or F1, but they did not show up for James Gunn's Superman. It is as simple as that. There's no need to dig even farther. Now let me get in this kitchen and cook. Do I truly believe that James Gunn's DC Universe is DOA? Hell yeah. That's right. The numbers for Superman just is not there. You talk about how $615 million in this climate is hard to achieve when F1 is sitting at $623 million worldwide. A film about cars racing on a Formula One racetrack has made $623 million when Superman was well ahead of that at one point in time. That's right, F1 held great overseas. Jurassic World held great overseas. None of those movies stars a character that has on a goddamn costume. And here it is. The superhero genre is supposed to be bigger than all of that. We just had Deadpool and Wolverine gross $1.3 billion. And speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine, I remember after Superman got those trailer views, people were putting up the damn list of films that crossed over $1 billion regarding their trailer views. They was talking about how the movie was going to make $1 billion and so on and so forth. And here it is. We're sitting at $615 million worldwide after 2 damn months. Goes to show you that those people out there who will continue to say, well, Man of Steel was in theaters for 3 months. You got to wait 3 months. This ain't going to get the goddamn 3 months. At 3 months, it's still going to be sitting at $617 million worldwide. All because a lot of these people do not understand how box office works, even though you tell them every day. Look at Superman, 30 days on digital. Why? Why? Peacemaker, 717,000 households. As if DC is not bigger than that. And here it is, Superman is on HBO Max this damn Friday. Just out of the blue. They didn't announce any of those moves. Superman coming to digital or the HBO Max date. Usually, you would get those dates weeks in advance, not the week of. They just thinking, okay, well, maybe we should release it now. The box office drying up, maybe we will release it now. They're panicking behind closed doors. They thought that Superman was going to be the biggest hit of 2025, especially after they saw Minecraft make so much damn money. They believe that Superman is more relevant than Minecraft in today's society. No, my man, you missed your opportunity when you decided to bench Henry Cavill for the last 10 fucking years. That is the problem. You wonder why Superman isn't popular these nowadays? It's because Warner Brothers refused to give them to you. And when they finally do give you a Superman, here it is, he's getting kicked in the goddamn nuts. And can't even outdo a 13-year-old movie. Ain't that about a bitch? You did all of this to earn less than Man of Steel. It is a failure. There's no way that you can defend how badly this looks on Warner Brothers. We know that Man of Steel 2 would have at least earned $900 million worldwide. We know this. We fucking know this. But here it is. Here it is. You're settling for movies that you have to put on digital in order to make money. That is the reason why they put Superman on digital so quick, which is the same rate that they put all of their flops on digital. Everything that flops in Hollywood goes to digital in 30 days. People talk about 35 days. Man, look, you went to digital in 30 days without announcing it weeks in advance. Common sense would tell anyone who can think for themselves what is going on behind closed doors regarding that of Warner Brothers. It is not that hard to figure out. Answer this. Answer this. For the last 3 years, if you are a person who truly believes in James Gunn's vision, for the last 3 years, did you honestly believe that Superman will gross less than Man of Steel? Keep it a buck. Be honest. Tell the truth. Did you honestly believe that Superman was going to gross less than Man of Steel? If you say yeah, you know damn well you're not being honest. See, this whole James Gunn DC direction, it's going nowhere. The man can't even get his continuity correct. And I told you guys before, that type of thing matters. In fact, it is one of the catalysts that has sunk the MCU. They don't understand. Fans such as myself, we care about canon. They did the same thing to Star Wars. Now they're doing it to DC. You can't play around with canon, because when you play around with it, fans get confused. And you know what else happens? They jump off board. I guaranteed you the viewership for Peacemaker dropped after those first 2 episodes. I guaranteed you. And when we get that news, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover it. Now, as I told you before, DC having anything under 1 million households is unacceptable. Now, Superman is coming to digital, HBO Max this Friday. I will hope that more than 1 million people watch that damn movie. The Penguin got 3.2. Superman needs to be more than that. That's how I feel. Because if it isn't, then James Gunn did not accomplish the job. He did not get people into DC or Superman, which means he made the wrong choice. As I told you before, should have restored the SniderVerse. I'm your boy O. Hopefully you have watched this video all the way to the end and help you borrow that algorithm. And if you're not subscribed, please be sure to do so. Trying to get to that big number of 100,000 subs. So I'll be highly appreciative you help me cross over that threshold by hitting that subscribe button. Then after you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that notification bell, because YouTube absolutely sucks at notifying subscribers that content creators has uploaded videos to the platform. Hitting that notification bell certainly helps. And don't forget to hit that like button to help me out with that algorithm, baby. But in the comments below, let me know, do you think that the DCU is DOA, such as myself? And if you disagree, that is cool. Just let me know in the comments below.